Hello everybody, Danny back from Deepsouth Homestead. Yes guys, we're in the cabin this morning. It is so cold outside. The wind is it's unreal, the wind. You would think that it's March also, the way this wind is blowing. And it's really hindering us here at Deepsouth Homestead. Even my voice this morning, having been out in the cold, it just will not warm up. We just don't get this longer periods of time in the south here where every morning is 32 degrees or colder. It just seems like it's just weeks on end. Every morning we get up, it's freezing. Of course, the sun is shining, and that's nice, but with the wind screaming like it is outside, 20 miles an hour, the chill factor, even though the sun's out and they say it's 40 degrees up in the day or 45, sometimes it gets up to, and that wind chill just cuts to the bone, especially like us working under the barn there, we're in a shade, and that wind coming up on the barn just cuts right through you and you just cannot get much done. It's just, we're trying to beat the elements to get things done, and it just won't warm up, guys. I mean, it just seems like, and I know it's going to come to a point here pretty soon. We're going to be like, God, I wish it would just get cold again, and be cooled off. And I know that comes in the Deep South, don't get me wrong. But we're wanting to start seeds, but I'm a little hesitant. I keep hearing from lots of different angles, it's fixing to warm up, it's fixing to warm up. Well, when I look out, and I looked at the long range forecasts of everything, I don't see what I call warming up to get seeds or miniature plants in the ground. Let me say that. I do see it warming up some, but not being able to be warm enough to actually put transplants out in the garden, because if you leave these little transplants in pots too long, several things happen. They become root bound. They just don't get the nutrition they need, because when you plant a seed, it tells you the number of days to harvest. And if you keep them in a little pot too long, now tomato plant being a for instance, if a tomato plant stays in a little old bitty pot and all of a sudden it starts putting blooms on, you just screwed that plant up. I mean, it'll still produce a tomato, don't get me wrong, but it will never be what it was supposed to be. Like if you go to buy little tomato plants in stores and stuff like that and they're already blooming, unless they're in a really big pot, don't even waste your money on it, because it's just never going to be what it's supposed to be. And these are things that we try to keep in mind here. I mean, I'm wanting to start my seeds, and I'm just nervous about doing it, knowing that our weather is different than what it used to be. You cannot, the Farmer's Almanac is not right anymore. I'll just go ahead and tell you that. So there's no need even trying to do it. And if you do buy one, and you look in and you do the research on it, what they're showing you is growing for like Maine. It's not for where we're at down here in the south. So that's a big issue for us right now, is trying to get this timing thing with the climate changing like it is, and the wind chills and stuff like this. We are able to do some things in the high tunnels about keeping them going. But I've got citrus trees that was fooled, because here a week ago, the temperature started going up, and the temperature in the high tunnels stayed up around 80 and 90 degrees for like a week, and cold at night, but it got up to that during the day, and it tricked those trees, and they done all bloomed out, and I can't leave the doors open because of the coolness to let pollinators in like I need to, and I don't have the time to go through and hand pollinate everything. I'm having to work on different things here, because now that I've messed my knee up, I'm a lot slower than I used to be. So it's all just, guys, it's become a game now about what can we do, when can we do it. I mean, we planted our English peas, we planted our potatoes, we got that done. We've planted some things in the high tunnels, and we're actively we planted all of our fruit trees, we got those done. We're waiting to purchase some more citrus trees, but the problem is, it's too cool right now, and the place won't go ahead and get them in. And I don't blame them. So we're hoping maybe this coming week that the citrus trees will come in and we'll have time enough to get them and get them kind of squared away before it gets to be too warm. Because to be honest with you, with the things that I see coming, spring and fall are going to almost become non-existent. I really believe in the very near future, from the things that I'm finding out, we're just going to go just straight from winter to summer. It's going to be cold and it's just going to be hot. And then all of a sudden from the summer heat, we're just going to have a cold start coming in. And we're not really going to have maybe a week or two of a transformation period there, but not like a month long or 2 month long spring, where we have time for everything to gradually come out. And this is what's going to be rough on things like the fruit trees and stuff like that, because if the chill hours, this is one reason you have to be really careful about getting a fruit tree that has too low of a chill hour on it. Because if the chill hours are too low on it, say 200, and by February, you've already had enough days of 40 degrees or colder for that fruit tree, it'll just bloom out. And you still got a lot of frost and freezes still to come. So you got to kind of be careful about what tree you buy and what zone you're in. And I've been telling people here, since the climate's been changing like it is and what we're going to be facing in the next couple of years, is to purchase seeds for one zone colder than you are and one zone hotter than you are, so that as the weather changes, you can actually have a seed to grow for whatever climate that you're going to be facing, because the climates are going to be changing drastically now in the next 2 years. Things are going to just change totally. I'm not going to go into that on Porch Time today, because that's not what this is about today. Today, there is a play on words out there that's being thrown around everywhere now, and even the MSM now is starting to use some of these play on words out there. Like famine. They don't use the word famine, because the word famine would freak everybody out. And people would be going, oh my gosh, because famine registers in your mind. But if they use the word that's equal to famine and they go, oh, there's a food shortage. Well, when you use the word food shortage, it's kind of like, some things are not going to be as much, well, but it's going to be okay. No, it's not going to be okay, because food shortage leads to famine. Now, I talked to my daughter, and if she watches this, she'll know what I'm talking about. I had talked to her the other day after I went through a conference meeting, and I called her almost immediately, and I told her, I said, look, you need to go out today and stock up on everything that you don't have, because there's certain strikes, and this has been 2 weeks ago. There's certain strikes that's fixing to happen in this country. The truckers by March, I've been told, will be going on a strike in this country. I've already been told by certain people who do trucking that if I want anything that has to be ordered, to do it now, so that they stand a chance of it getting here. Because if not, the disruption of the supply chain is fixing to be so bad, because the truckers have had enough. And they're fixing to bond together, and they're fixing to just bring this country to its knees and make it realize, hey, we run this country, And I totally get all of that. And I told my daughter, I says, go do it, and go do it now. Do not wait, But I told her, I said, but let me tell you something, because my daughter lives next to a seaport. And I told her, I said, now, you're going to find out when you go to your stores are probably not going to have the bare shelves on them that a lot of other stores further inland in the United States have. And I said, that's because you live next to a seaport. As things are unloaded, your stores get stocked first, and then stuff is dispersed from that point out. It's like anything that's closer to where it comes in at, it's going to stay more stocked than anything else. But I told her, I said, you're also going to see this. As you walk through the store, I want you to pay attention. You won't see a lot of empty shelves in some stores, but you will see, and I'll give you for instance, I said, you'll see things like washing machine soap. I said, you'll see jugs of it where it used to be at in the store, and you'll go around another aisle, well, there'll be a bunch of more jugs of stuff like washing machine soap and powder and stuff like this, and you might go to the other side of the store and there's a bunch of shelves of it over there. I said, what the store is doing is it's taking those empty shelves that it doesn't have products for, and whatever it's getting a lot of in, it'll fill those shelves with that to make it look like the store is well stocked. I said, now when you go and do this shopping, let me know if that's what you see. Well, she called me back later. It was kind of funny. She said, Dad, I'm at a store. They've got several boxes of cannon lids. Do you want any? And I'm like, yes. I said, get all you need and then finish up with me. And she said, okay. And she says, that'll be a whole case of lids. I said, fine, buy the whole case. I don't care. And I said, we've only got ourselves to take care of. We can't worry about everybody else out there. And so she told me, she says, okay. And I said, what about the stores? Are you seeing what? She said, yes, I do see what you're saying about the shelves being stocked around through the store with things that they do have in supply. They're just spaced around all through the store everywhere to hide the empty shelves. And that's at a seaport. And I told her, I said, so get what you need and stock up on it. You know, because food shortages is imminent. It's going to happen. There is definitely a disruption. Now, is there a shortage of food? The answer to that is probably no. But there is a disruption in the supply chain. And whether food shortages, and I'll go ahead and say this, I think I'll be all right by saying this. The food shortages are more than likely man-created. The weather hasn't gotten, even though the weather in the last 4 years has really messed up a lot of food supplies for America, specifically corn and wheat and soy and all this kind of stuff, which we don't eat all that anyway. We raise our own. We don't depend on stuff from the grocery store. So it really hasn't had an effect on us. But I do know that based on the U.S. agriculture's marketing that I watch, which I know is manipulated because I've seen it manipulated and I watched it be manipulated. I actually used to be in that, so I know how it is manipulated. But their numbers for the past several years have shown that in some areas there's been pretty drastic decreases in the percentage of food that the country has taken in from our own soil. So rather than the word famine being used, they're using the word food shortage out there. Now, rather than using the word hyperinflation, which is what we're fixing to face. I mean, you can say what you want. We're fixing to face hyperinflation. We're looking at a 40% increase. Well, actually, they just said a 7% just since the beginning of the year. But the tally sheet says there's going to be a 40% increase by the end of the year through, things I've been able to find out. And that is called high prices. They're just using the word today. The mainstream media, the MSM, whatever you want to call them, is using the word high prices. We've got high prices. Prices are getting higher. They use a play on words like that rather than telling you the truth, which is we're facing hyperinflation because of these stimulus packages that were all passed through and these bills that the demon, listen to what I'm saying, the Democrats have pushed through, because that's just what they are. They're Democrats. They're destroying our country financially. People like myself, that's older, that made some financial moves many years ago. Yes, I'm affected. I'm affected pretty bad, to be honest with you. And to look at my status and see how bad I'm affected, I can only imagine a younger person that hasn't had the opportunity to begin to build a future financially. I just look back and I'm like, I told my daughter, the same one I'm talking about, I told her, I says, look, you and your husband, y'all made they've made some really wise financial decisions. And I'm very proud of them for doing what they've done. They've kept their head on their shoulders and not went off and just blown tons and tons of money everywhere. And that's what I love to see in a younger generation. I met with a couple this past weekend that that's actively searching for a place, to call home and a homestead, and I'll tell you, and I don't think they would mind. I gave them the advice, time is short. Don't be dragging your feet. And I'll tell that to anybody right now. If you're just now starting, you're probably behind the game. But if you do have some sort of financial resources that you can fall back on, you've made a few wise decisions, you might be able to pull it off. I believe that it's possible. But you can't keep waiting. You've got to, you guys, y'all know I have just about run myself crazy talking about this for the last 4 or 5 years. While things were still decent back then, I'm like, do it now. And everybody's like, I don't know, the economy under Trump is so good. I'm like, this is just a reprieve, guys. It's a false flag. Do what you need to do. Because there's so many plays on words. Food shortage. Really, we're having a famine is what they're talking about. High prices. No, it's not high prices. It's hyperinflation is what we're facing. It's just like the military now. The military is trying to, this started way back there. This is not something new. But to make war not sound so gruesome. When a plane flies a mission, we used to say, they're in there bombing the heck out of this place. That's just what they used to say. Now, oh no, the sorties, we're flying sorties now, and we're dropping batteries. Which, to the ear, that sounds, that's, the planes are flying, and we're just, we're dropping batteries. That sounds, it's more soft to the human body. They're softening us up to carnal things. And you talk about, and rather than saying, we just bombed the heck out of Damascus or something like that, I'm just using that as a phrase. They say, instead of calling the name of the town or anything like that, well, it's the theater now. This is the theater where the sorties are flying in, and we're dropping batteries on the theater. And, all the languages is changing, guys, because they're trying to make war sound like it's not so bad. And it's devastating. It's destroying. Not only does it destroy people, it destroys God's plan. And it just wreaks havoc, because what most people don't realize is with a lot of the weaponry and the technology that we use today, the spent shell casings that are laying all over the ground, most of them are radioactive. And a lot of people don't even know that. And radioactivity in the ground everywhere where these shell casings are is just unreal. It's pathetic as how bad it is. Now, I'm sitting here watching crows out front right here. They're all over the front right here. You might can hear them on the camera even. They're out picking acorns up and stuff. And it's always great to sit and watch that from inside the cabin here as I watch wildlife and nature, doing things that it's doing. But guys, there's a phrase out there that people have said that Henry Kissinger made these statements. Whoever controls the food controls the world. Whoever controls the oil controls the world. And there's an element of surprise, an element of truth in that, which is there's a lot of elements of truth in that. Because if you can control the food, you can control the population of people if you control the food. But we're entering a new dimension now, and I want us to stop and think about what I'm fixing to say here. We've entered a new dimension of technology. It's called AI, and it's a big deal now. We have 5G now, which is being implemented globally. And oh boy, I could go off in that for, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to talk about that right now. But the new phrase, now you're probably going to hear this if you pay attention. The new phrase is, those who control the data. Listen to what I'm saying. Those who control the data control the world. You see, it used to be oil and stuff like that, but it's now the data. Whoever controls the data controls the world. Well, guys, it happened again. A fully charged battery. I guess because of the cold. I don't know, but it went out on me again. Now, this has happened to me 2 or 3 times. It mainly happens when I'm doing porch time. And I'm telling you, it's the devil. The devil is after me like crazy. You know, and I mean, he just is on me like crazy. I mean, I'm having to pray and pray and pray to keep the devil off of me. It's just, oh, it's so frustrating. Just to have to deal with him. But getting back to where I was at, man, what a thing. Those who control the data in the new civilization that we're going into is going to control the world. Now that's that's just the way it's going to be. I mean, everything is gradually working its way toward credit scores and stuff like this, cryptocurrencies and things like this. As a matter of fact, I was told here, and this is one that's going to be a little bit hard for me to stomach, but I was told here the other day that every human in the very, I couldn't find an exact date out, but I was given a time frame of possibly in the next 2 years, let's say that every human was going to be mandatory that they had a cell phone, or you would be fined like they do if you don't have car insurance and you're driving on the road. And I'm like, man, I don't know about that. Now that sounds a little far-fetched, but I'm not going to discredit it totally. I'm going to kind of hold it in the back of my mind. And the reason for this is that the goal, right now, I was told that the goal is to get a device into the hands of every human on the face of the earth. Some of it will be done through trickery. Some of it will be like, oh, we're going to give out free phones, you know, or just whatever. In any types of ways that they can get a device in somebody's hand. They're wanting to get devices in everybody's hands so that they can pass a mandatory law that states everybody must carry a device with them. Because with this phone, you will be paying for everything and doing everything with the phone. As a matter of fact, those of you who watch the Super Bowl, I don't. I could care less. Football is one of the things to me that I played it when I was younger, but it doesn't mean anything to me. It's just kind of ignorant. But the Super Bowl supposedly was a test run for the phone being able to be used to pay for everything. Now, like I said, I don't watch the Super Bowl, so I don't actually know what went on. I just know that a lot of the information that was sent to me about that particular Super Bowl dome that they were in there, and all the technology that was put into that dome to do a test run to see how the phones would work with being able to pay for like you popcorn or Cokes or hot dogs or whatever. You know, your phone, your tickets, your parking, which was... If they charged for parking what they said, only a fool would go to one of these games anyway. But with that being said, I mean, the technology that they're testing, the new 5G system that they're implementing there to see how it was going to function and how it was going to work, guys, it's from what I'm able to find out, and I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I don't think that what I've been told is inaccurate, but they're trying to get devices into the hands of every person. Now, there's a lot of reasons for it. One is for credit scores and crypto, to be able to use it for either one of them, but it's also to have a tracking device. These phones all have tracking devices in them That way they can track the traffic of every human being that's on the face of the earth, where you're at, when you were there, how long you stayed there, what did you purchase while you were there. All this information is going to be used in the future for your new credit score that you're going to be given. Now this is already, y'all know, I don't have to tell you this. This is already being implemented in China and other countries in the world where their financial score, credit score, whatever you want to call it, is being based on their human activity. Now, I don't like that. I'm being told that anyone who has cash stocked up or stored or anything like this, it's going to become virtually useless in the very near future. And my suggestion, or what I'm doing, and I'm not going to suggest it, what I'm doing is any cash I get my hands on, I'm putting it into tangible assets so that I've got something to lay my hands on that's actually real. Because whether it's buying something to use here on the homestead, like putting up that barn, buying material to put the barn up with, if you've got enough money, or you're one of the fortunate ones today to have enough money to purchase land and not be in debt, but if you got the cash to pay cash for it, that would be a blessing. I mean, we ran across the Ranger, the second Ranger this past week, and the deal was so good on it, I couldn't turn it down. And we were going to buy one anyway, to put some money into a tangible object, even though I know it's gas operated and stuff like this. But for right now, as long as things are going, hey, we get a lot more work done with the second one here, because I'm not having to wait on Wanda to get, to use hers. She's not having to wait on me to use it. Now we each have one, and we can accomplish twice the task that we normally would, which is a great thing. It's a very efficient time saver for us. So, you just got to take into consideration the direction that the world is heading into. We don't manufacture anything for ourselves anymore, except, I hate to say that, we do manufacture some things. We manufacture a lot of one thing, but not much of what we really need. And then the one thing that we manufacture tons of is entertainment. And sadly enough, a lot of YouTube is just entertainment. It's not really, I don't watch a lot of YouTube anymore specifically for this reason. I have a few channels that I do watch. Maybe, I think it's 4, maybe 5 channels that I do watch. And the rest I don't watch because I glance through a lot and it's all entertainment. I do see people planting, but I don't see any harvests. That was one thing I appreciated about, there's a couple of channels I ran across, and I'll tell you, I ran across them, and one of them was a really dear friend of mine. He's not with us anymore. And one of them was Mr. Charles, the old Alabama gardener. Mr. Charles's videos would show you the beginning of a planting, and he would take you, even though it took him a whole year to shoot a video, he would take you through the growing season, show you the progression of the plants growing, and then he would show you the harvest of it. That is what I'm looking for in a video. I'm looking for someone who, when they plant something, they've got a video down the road somewhere that I can find that shows me how they took care of it, the growth and the progression of it, and the harvest of it. Another one that I have found is Hollis and Nancy. Now, I don't watch Hollis and Nancy like I used to because I just don't have time anymore. But one thing I appreciated about Hollis and Nancy was they would take you and show you what they done, how they done it, and they would take you through the progression of the whole thing until the end where they harvested at. That's the kind of videos that a person needs to be searching out. Because these videos that they don't do nothing but show them planting and giving their opinion, or just a talking head sitting up talking about what they do, and they never really show you anything, guys, that's entertainment. Because they didn't really show you anything. You know, I may show planting carrots in a bed in a video, but somewhere along the line, I'm going to show you the harvest of that bed. And that's what Wanda and my whole goal is to, every so often we'll do a tour, and we'll show the progression of things on the homestead, what we planted, how is it doing, the high tunnels, you know, what are we experiencing with them, how are they faring, are they doing okay? A high tunnel tour once every month or two, and just show you know this is happening in the high tunnel or that's happening in the high tunnel. Well, we learned something here. This didn't work. Maybe this will work. We show you what works, what don't work. You know, that's the kind of stuff that me personally, I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just telling you as an individual, myself, that's the kind of stuff I look for when I'm on YouTube. I don't look for entertainment. I don't care what people do. That doesn't mean anything to me. I show the construction of like my barn and stuff like this. A lot of it's over on Patreon because they get a daily update on lots of things. Because I want people to see, it's not to say, hey, I have a barn. It's to say, this is the style of barn that we're building. This is the phases that we're going through. This is what it looks like as it's being constructed, because we want to create in people's minds a way, if they decide to do something similar, a way to see how things are done. Now, we did videos on the she shed out here, the garage for Wanda has her outdoor kitchen. We showed the construction of that through several videos so that people know the phases that you go through to do that type of stuff. But today, most things that are manufactured in the United States is basically entertainment. You know, and YouTube is going fast down that road. And guys, to give you a real in-depth look at something, any civilization that's ever collapsed, it was because they manufactured entertainment. So when I see now that the United States is basically manufacturing entertainment, it tells me that our collapse now is imminent. We will go down probably pretty quickly. You know, I mean, because I look at the things that our country has shipped overseas and stuff through, you know, what was it, Clinton or one of them back through NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. What nut case would allow another country to make your medicine for you? How stupid is that you would trust another country to make the medicine for your people to stay healthy and strong? A communist country at that. That doesn't even like you, and all they would like to see is for you to be destroyed and let you say, oh, I want you to make our medicine for us to keep us healthy. I mean, guys, I'm sitting up here, it's like a slap in the face moment. I'm like, how stupid is that? And then we build all these fine automobiles and everything like this, and yet we source our chips and our computer components out to a communist country to make them because, oh, they can do them cheaper than we can do them. Yeah, unless something happen and they quit making the chips and all your vehicles are just sitting idle. You can't do anything. You can't get them fixed. And I got mechanic friends right now. I've got vehicles sitting on their lot, been sitting almost a year because they can't get a part for them. What numbskull came up with these ideas? So whoever controls the data controls the world now. And guys, keep all this in mind. I covered a lot of bases today here, and please read between the lines. I tried to say things without saying things. I said some things in riddles because I'm not allowed to freely just come out and say, hey, this is like, you know, the couple that was here this past weekend, the gentleman that I spoke with, him and his wife, they were like blown away. They're like, wow, I didn't know that. And I'm like, yeah. I said, I'll talk to you personally and tell you that. I'm not going to say it on YouTube, though. I mean, so that's where we're at. And keep in mind, stock your food up now. Don't only stock up food, stock your medicine up, stock up your condiments that you're going to need, your toothpaste, toiletries, deodorants, anything like that. Just make sure they're aluminum free, not loaded up with lauryl sulfates and all that kind of stuff. It's going to kill you anyway. Get away from a lot of plastic products, because what most people don't realize, plastics are where dioxin comes from in the human system. Dioxin is one of the leading causes of breast cancer today through the use of microwaves and plastics and stuff like this. Me and oncologists have sit down face to face and talked about all this stuff. It's just crazy what they have done to our society to try to kill us off little by little and gradually, So guys, with all that's been said on Porch Time today, read between the lines, pay attention. He who hath an ear, let him hear. Thank you guys from Deep South Homestead.